Good evening. Welcome to the November 13th meeting of the Planning Commission. And would you call the roll?
Thank you, Chair. Commissioner Moran?
Here.
Commissioner Cound?
Here.
Commissioner Strongman?
Here.
Commissioner Kwok?
Here.
Commissioner Klopp?
Here.
Commissioner Knighting?
Here.
Vice Chair Knighting, excuse me.
Here.
And
Still here.
Chair Anderson.
Here.
We have a quorum. All are here.
Very good. Do we have anything on the consent calendar tonight?
Staff has no suggestions.
Then we can move on to number 3, which is public communications. You have 2 opportunities to speak tonight. You can speak on either of the individual hearings that we have scheduled. If you have anything that you wish to speak on besides those items, something that's not on the agenda tonight, but it was within our jurisdiction, this is the time to do that. It's period for public communication. Yes, sir. Yeah. And in either case, if you could fill out a speaker card, that would be helpful before you do it. You can do it after you're done. Okay.
Yeah, I'm really concerned about, affordability and the cost of living here, and whether my kids or any kids who grow up here can afford to keep living here. I think that we could do a lot more in terms of getting the cost of living down in this area. In the last 3 years, we built about 200 houses for a city with 70,000 people. My son just started kindergarten, and it's great. It's public school. There's a lot of really affluent people who are there, which is great. It's great that they want to, live in Walnut Creek and live here. And it makes me nervous about who's moving out. If this was a lower income area, we'd understand that pretty straightforwardly. That's just gentrification, right? Like richer people are moving in, and lower income people are moving out, including people who work for the city or people who work for the county. They just can't afford to live here. And I'd really encourage you to leave no stone unturned to try to make housing more affordable, right? With looking at how many houses you can build on a lot, looking at the building code, looking at how long it takes to approve permits, to try to make that happen. And the other thing is, just a minute, Jack. A lot of times the reason that people oppose new housing is because of traffic and parking. I think there's a lot that we could do in terms of traffic. I think there's something like 400 kids that go to my kid's school, and maybe 8 of them ride their bike to school, but there's no reason we can't. That's a solvable problem, right? If you look at Palo Alto, they have this whole website where 50% of the kids, 50% ride their bikes to school or walk to school. And it just goes up over time, and it's because they've made it, they've actually focused on it, right? And so they measure it. Like if you were asked a principal or the superintendent how many kids walk their bike to school, they don't know the answer to that question. But we could start measuring that, and we could start optimizing it, and we could work with the PTAs. We could work with the city. We could work with the schools to try to get kids to actually ride their bikes to school instead of driving to school, and that might. Jack, be quiet, buddy.
Okay, I did not have the timer on,
Oh,
but
sorry.
I do have it on my.
I'll wrap up pretty quickly. The other thing is around parking. Yeah, it is an inconvenience if new neighbors move in and it makes parking harder to find on the street. We could, we have solutions for this. We have meters. We have parking passes. We could issue parking passes and then let people sell them who live here. Anyway, thanks very much. I appreciate your time, and best of luck with the rest of the agenda tonight.
Thank you very much.
Sorry about my kids.
That's all right. No need to apologize. Okay. Anyone else wish to speak on something not on the agenda? If not, we will continue. Are there any ex parte communications to disclose? Going once, going twice.
Well, I think most of us have received multiple emails on the
Yeah,
topics on the agenda, so.
indeed. But no dialogues based on those. Okay. Very good. We'll move on to the first public hearing, and that is item 4A, Retro Junkie, and ask for a staff report.
Okay, so good evening, Commissioners. My name is Gerardo Victoria. I'm an assistant planner in the Community Development Department. The project before you today is a special use permit and design review application for the eating and drinking establishment Retro Junkie located at 2112 North Main Street. So just some site context. This is North Main Street right here, and this is North California. Retro Junkie is located right here where the star is. It is located in the city's core area, surrounded by a mix of uses. The project calls for approximately 1,200 square feet of new outdoor patio area and 1 food truck. The general plan designation is auto sales service and custom manufacturing. It is also located in the city's North Downtown Specific Plan, and the zoning designation is auto sales service and custom manufacturing. Food trucks are permitted with approval of a special use permit. So the business plan, the current hours of operation for Retro Junkie are outlined here, Tuesday through Saturday, 6 p.m. to 2 a.m., and Sundays occasionally from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. Those hours are not changing. The food truck hours of operation will be Tuesday through Saturday, 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. No bar will be located in the new outdoor patio space. There will be 2 to 3 security guards located at all times in the new space, as outlined in the staff report. And high-definition cameras will be located in the new outdoor patio space. So this is the existing space right here, this picture above. And the proposed is what it's going to look like if permitted. You see the new outdoor space here with the food truck located there. So here's the site plan. This is North Main Street right here. This is where the food truck is going to be located. According to the elevation drawing, the new decorative CMU fence will be located here with an exit door, an exit gate here, and an entrance here are located on this side, as you can see it on the north elevation drawing right there, with new landscaping lining the exterior of the fence located right here and up to the side. Right here is the entrance. That is down here. So the special use permit findings are the same as the conditional use permit findings, with one additional finding that states that the use is provided, that the use provides a necessary service to the community. Staff, as proposed, finds that the project does provide a valuable community service by expanding the local dining and entertainment options, and also provides adequate parking for Retro Junkie. The design review findings are outlined in your staff report, and they are here. I really don't want to read the whole thing because it's just... Staff recommends a move to determine the CEQA exemption and approve the special use permit and design review findings based on the findings outlined in the draft resolution to allow a food truck and a new outdoor patio space at 2112 North Main Street. And I'm available for any questions. The applicant, Robert Lynham, is also here, along with the business owner, Enrique Montero.
Any questions, staff? Commissioner Strongman.
I'll give it a shot. You may be referring me to the applicant, but I'll start out. Do they currently serve food at this establishment?
I will ask the
Okay, that's the
business owner
next
to come
question.
up. Yes.
There appears to be a entrance in the back going into the parking lot. Will that also have security, a security guard at various times, along with the front?
I will let the business owner
Okay.
answer that.
And my big concern is there seems making sure that the pedestrians and the cars don't interact adversely. You have one entrance there going into the 5 stalls, and then the other entrance just about going around to the real parking lot, shall we say.
Yes.
If I was pulling in there, I would probably pull in the first one myself, and then realize I'm in the wrong place, and that creates issues with the sidewalk and North Main getting out of there. What are we doing to resolve those things? And also pedestrians along the driveway going back to the main parking lot?
So, okay, let me answer it this way. So yes, there are going to be, let me go back. So there is a parking stall here, and there's a sidewalk here, as you can see. Those are all existing. And this is going to be accessible parking space. Yes, you can pull in here and park your vehicle there. Also along right here, oops, let me go back. There is, like you stated, the alley here, the entrance to the rear of the property, where there's 42 parking stalls on site, and then they have a shared parking agreement. So they are satisfying the parking requirement. They're also going to, as part of this new outdoor patio space, there is a new sidewalk that is going to be, you can see here and along here. So this existing sidewalk, I wish I had a better picture, I'm sorry, yeah. It like, it goes to, it extends past here to the Autopia Park, business. But, I don't believe, and maybe Robert Lynham can answer this, I don't believe there's a plan right here to do a sidewalk along here.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Thank you.
So would the expectation be that for most people, they're parking in the back, they come in through the rear entrance?
Yes,
So they wouldn't actually be walking down the alley?
no.
Okay. Any other questions? Commissioner Moran?
This might be better directed towards the applicant, but I'm curious, if I'm walking down North Main, can I just pop in and grab some tacos and be on my way? Or do I have to, is there a tiered system where I have to go into the bar, or there's a cover charge, or can I hang out on the patio? Can I go into the bar and do all three? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, and I'll let the business owner answer
Sure.
that.
Okay.
How
Yeah.
they're gonna deal with that.
Anyone else? No. All right, well, we'll give the business owner a chance to speak for 10 minutes, if you choose to use it.
Hello, I'm Enrique Montero, one of the co-owners of Retro Junkie. I want to say thank you for allowing us the opportunity to be here. In regards to your question about the food truck, we are going to designate the food truck. We plan to designate the food truck for patrons only, and they'll have to have a wristband to be inside, and we'll police it, or monitor it rather, to make sure we don't have any unwanted guests walking up, especially at the end of the night, at midnight. We don't want people pulling over and hanging out the food truck. So that's just a service we're going to offer our guests, so they can stay longer and have food and be safe when they drive home, so they're not just eating a candy bar or something. So that's how we plan to operate the food truck. What was the other question you might have had? Oh, that's right, the backdoor security. So we do have a guard stationed at the back door, and they make sure that everyone walks around to the front. That's an exit, emergency exit only. As far as serving food right now, your question, we have a pop-up once in a while in the back just to serve food to the guests, but it's not all the time. But when we did have our beer garden before, during the pandemic, we had a food truck for 4 years. So we're very experienced operating a food truck already and monitoring, regulating the area with the food truck. Same standards will uphold, not allowing any guests to pull up and order unless they're entering the establishment.
Commissioner Collins?
Just to follow up, you said the entrance at the back is just an emergency exit, or?
100%. Yeah, we don't allow ins and outs. So when people leave, our guards instruct the patrons, are you leaving? Have a nice day, get home safe. If they are saying, no, we're just using the phone, we're going to the car, okay, if you leave, you have to go back around the front, get searched again, show your ID, and that's on a per case basis. So yeah, that's an emergency exit only. A lot of our patrons, I'd say 90, probably 80% of them park in the back. We get a lot of Uber drop-offs and Lyft drop-offs in the front, and they don't pull. You'd be surprised, a lot of them don't pull in the front parking lot. They just pull over and drop off and get out real quick. I think they kind of either know or see that it's full, and so hopefully that'll continue to be the case.
Robert Lyman, Johnson Lyman Architects. And I just wanted to point out a couple of access points. There is a sidewalk that connects the back to the front. So you can walk down the alley safely if you're parked in the back parking lot. There are also 2 accessible parking stalls in the back. So the back door does serve alternately, I hope I'm correct here, it's an accessible entrance for use by people who need to use the accessible parking stalls.
Oh, ADA?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it does serve that purpose. And then one last point to make, it's not clear in this rendering, but there is an accessible path of travel that connects from the front door to the city sidewalk, which I don't think exists now. And it runs along the, I think that's the Toyota building to the south, which is behind the food truck. There's a path of travel that goes along the building and then hangs a left, and then you can see the sidewalk wrap around the new outdoor patio. That was really the only place we could make an accessible path of travel. There's utility poles and utility boxes and a storm drain along that alley, and it just made it really difficult to get a clean, accessible path of travel. So that's why the route looks a little circuitous. Thank you.
A question about the hours. Since the interior is open till 2, but the food truck will close up at midnight, correct?
I'm sorry, I'm hard of hearing.
All right.
Can you?
The interior business is open till 2 a.m.,
Correct.
but the food truck closes at midnight,
Correct.
and the outdoor patio as well?
1 o'clock. We stopped letting patrons in at 1 o'clock, so that's when we plan to do a sweep and push everyone inside. When we stop letting patrons in, and then we do last call at 1:10, and then we stop serving drinks at 1:20, and we stop the music at 1:30, and then we allow patrons at 1:45. We allow patrons once the music stops to use the restroom, find their friends, finish their drinks, and then at that point our security guards go around and tell people 5 minutes, start making their way to the exit, get home safe. And our number one priority is to make sure all our guests get home safe.
Commissioner Kwok.
All right, thank you for the presentation and the explanations. It was very helpful to understand. I did want to make sure I was understanding the business plan properly. So the food truck is not a permanent establishment on the property. It's a separate business that comes and goes with the hours?
I'm sorry. I'm really hard of hearing.
That's fine.
And I really am, because I've been in the nightclub business, the nightlife business my whole life.
Understandable.
Can you repeat that question a little louder, please?
Yes, so the food truck that's going to be on the parking lot, it's not going to be there all the time. When the food truck is, when it's not Tuesday through Saturday, 6 p.m. through 12 a.m., the food truck is somewhere else?
Is the food truck going to be somewhere else?
Yes, I mean, the food truck won't be on the parking lot when it's not operating.
Yes. No, not at all. No, the food truck, it will not be on the premises. It'll only be there from 6 to 12 p.m. And at 12 p.m. they'll ship up and pack out.
Gotcha. And then the other question I had was regarding there's a shared parking agreement with the neighboring business. And that parking agreement goes from until June 3rd, 2027. But the special use permit that we're looking at goes until November 13th, 2027. So there is a staggered time frame of about 4 to 5 months. So is this shared parking agreement new, or is it an existing one that's likely to renew?
That's a great question. We actually, we put this parking agreement together, I believe, a year ago. We can amend it. We can do whatever we need to do to go ahead and make it fit for the time frame.
Okay, all right, those are my questions. Thank you.
Anyone else? Very good, thank you. Are there any members of the public who would like to speak on this item? Have a speaker's slip, you can hand it.
Yeah. Hi, Jan Warren, live in the Woodlands, and I came down for the second one, but since I'm here, I'll give you this in a second. I'm just curious, it seems like, because I'm not familiar with the location or with the business, seems like it's been just a bar, if you will, only drinks and no food, and they're bringing in the truck for food. Is that the understanding? Okay. Because it still seems to me like my concern is, overusage of alcohol in our city. And so, okay, that answers my question. Thanks.
Welcome.
Good evening, Kathy Hemingway. I'm the Executive Director with the Walnut Creek Downtown Association. And I have a little statement just to share on behalf of the association. We'd like to express our support for Retro Junkies' application for an outdoor dining area and on-site food truck. Although Retro Junkie is just outside of our boundary, we've worked very closely with their team as they've been active participants in the Hospitality Alliance, which consists of downtown and most city bars and restaurant operators, as well as an associate member. So our association has worked closely with the Economic Development Department in establishing the current outdoor dining program and transforming the Retro Junkie space into an attractive, well-designed social environment really aligns perfectly with the goals of that program and the North Downtown specific plan to encourage outdoor gathering and pedestrian-friendly designs and improved site frontage, which is badly needed in this little neck of the woods. So adding that consistent food option for patrons will enhance the customer experience, reduce the need for guests to leave the immediate area in search of dining, and support a safer and more complete evening environment. So these are meaningful benefits, not only for Retro Junkie and their guests, but also for the neighboring businesses as well. So that outdoor activation has become a critical economic lifeline for many of our businesses, and this project gives an established local venue the flexibility needed to remain resilient and competitive and responsive to changing customer expectations. So for these reasons, we are supportive of their application, and we thank you for your consideration.
Excellent timing. Thank you. Any questions for the speaker? No. Okay, any other speakers on this item? I guess I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission for discussion. Vice Chair Needing.
I think this might be more of a question for staff. The one thing, the rendering's beautiful, by the way. I don't know who did it. I just had to say that. But the one thing that I wanted to ask about, because I did see on the site plan the accessible path, that was the first thing that I noticed. Because when you're interacting cars and pedestrians, with regards to the photometrics, were there only photometrics done for the one street light that's in the street and nothing on site? And the only reason why I ask is because if there's going to be a car that's parked, the food truck, it's right in front of the accessible path. And so, and it's next to a tall building. And so I was just wondering if there was any thought. I did notice that it said that the landscaper was going to have lights to try to provide safety. Maybe it's not for staff. Maybe it's for the, can I ask the?
Trying to answer your question. Yes, the photometric study was done for the existing street light in the front.
But nothing for on-site and so I guess my question is with this new accessible path, particularly since we were discussing the proximity between the cars and the pedestrians going to and from the back, is there lighting to provide safe travel from the right-of-way through up and over? I'm seeing the little foot candles for the street, but nothing on site. So that's what I had to ask.
Yeah, Robert Lyman again. Yeah, the photometric study was done to satisfy the city engineer's requirement to look at the street light levels, and there was no requirement for us to do it on site. So that's why it's only for the city street. But it's a good question. The concept of the outdoor areas is to have it well lit with string lights and maybe some landscape lighting as the rendering tries to show. By the way, that was Robert Becker who did the rendering, who's been on the design review board forever, or he was.
Yeah.
Great renderer. anyway, it's a great question about the path of travel.
Do you see how the wall is tall and then it would be blocked by the food truck? You just want to make sure that you have, normally the foot candles have an expression beyond, it doesn't just cut off like that.
Right. So
Just-
it's unclear.
It's
I'm sorry to
unclear.
interrupt you.
Yeah,
It's
no, no, no.
unclear because of the photometric plan did not go on site. All I can say is we'll make sure that we have adequate lighting for the entire path of travel, so it isn't unsafe. That's all I can offer. I couldn't give you foot candles right now,
I know.
but it's a great question. It's a good point.
Thank you for that.
Anyone else? I'd entertain a motion if someone has one.
All right, so I move that we approve the resolution for the Retro Junkie food truck and new outdoor space special use permit and design review application number Y24-027 at 2112 North Main Street.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Motion? Mr. Strongman.
In light of the lights, do we need to include that in part of the recommendation? That there is adequate lighting on that path?
If you all agree, I think it would be, it's such an easy thing to look at. How does that get, is that in the reso? Does that get added to the reso, Claire?
Yeah, just amendment.
That can be added to a condition for the project, but I'm not looking to, yeah, is there a good place for that?
Yes.
It's just to provide safe lighting along the identified path of travel on sheet, because they labeled it quite beautifully. SW1 is where they show that path of travel, Chip, right?
Yes.
And
Can I suggest some language?
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
One question, nod of the head would be good. Is there an SDP for this? No SDP. So the applicant shall revise the site plan as adopted by the Planning Commission to include adequate lighting along the ADA path of travel from the front to the rear. Did that capture it?
Front to the rear, okay.
Okay, and I would just, if the chair can ask the applicant that they agree with that.
Yes, we discussed adding lighting.
Can you come up to the podium and say it on the record? Thank you.
The path of travel goes from the sidewalk, it goes all the way around the entire building. I will be helping him build out. I will make sure there's lighting going out onto the wall, which will get permission from the neighbor to do so. And all the way around the path of travel, from the rear exit to the front, it will be lit correctly and a lot. So plenty of candlelight for you.
Excellent.
Okay, I understand what you guys are saying, and we didn't notice, so, but it will be done, so. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, so that can be added to a planning condition number 10?
Correct.
Okay, and then I assume the maker of the motion and the second agree.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, I think we're ready to vote.
Okay.
We have to call the roll.
Commissioner Kwok,
Yes.
Commissioner Klopp,
Yes.
Commissioner Moran,
Yes.
Commissioner Cound,
Yes.
Commissioner Strongman,
Yes.
Vice Chair Knighting,
Yes.
Chair Anderson.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you very much, gentlemen. All right. We move on to following project 4B. That's the Sierra Garden Multifamily Residential Affordable Apartments.
Good evening, Commissioners. Simmer Gill, Senior Planner with the city. We are here tonight to consider the design review for Sierra garden affordable multifamily development that will be located at 150 Sierra Drive. The applicant, Jonathan Astman, and his team are here tonight to answer any questions that you may have after the presentation. And just to quickly orient you, the site is 1.4 acres and does consist of a 29-unit development, housing development, and the site is zoned planned development. However, it follows the multifamily development standards. And the site is also identified in the housing inventory table as a site that encourages or envisions more housing. And the project request before you tonight is to demolish the 29-unit structures to build the new 6-story, 87-unit housing development. It does consist of a mix of studios, 1, 2, and 3-bedroom units, new landscaping, 58 surface parking stalls. The project also is requesting tree removal and drip line encroachment permits. And it is also utilizing state density bonus law, which under that the applicant is requesting 4 waivers to the city's development standards, as well as 2 concessions, which we'll go into more detail further in the presentation. And just to give you a little background, this project did go before the Design Review Commission earlier this year. The DRC did review the project, as well as made a recommendation to move the project to Planning Commission with several design-related comments that are listed on this slide. And the plans were revised to address these DRC comments, specific related to building colors, materials, screening, and landscaping. However, no changes were made to the parking layout. A shadow study has been provided, and I believe that's included as attachment 9 of your packet tonight. The applicant also has a presentation, and he will go into more detail on the shadow study. So tonight, the Planning Commission is considering the design review, the tree removal and drip line encroachment permits, as well as the density bonus waivers. As mentioned earlier, this project is being processed under the SB 330 Housing Accountability Act, which essentially means that if the project meets the city's objective standards, as well as the city's design standards, the project cannot be denied. And this project does qualify to be processed under SB 330 as is a residential project is a 100% affordable housing project. And to go into a little more detail on the density, the lot is 1.4 acres and under the multifamily very high general plan density range, they are allowed to build up to 70 units, which is the base density. Utilizing state density bonus law, because of providing affordable units, then gets them an increase of 80% in density, which then is 76 bonus units in addition to the 70 base. The applicant could essentially build up to 146 units under density bonus law. However, the applicant is only building 17 of those bonus units, which then results in a 87-unit development, requesting 4 waivers and 2 concessions. And here is just a list which was also of the concessions and waivers requested tonight. This is also included in the staff report in more detail. And again, the applicant is presenting tonight, so he will go into each of these line by line. But an example is a parking, the city requirement is 96 stalls. The applicant is proposing 58, which is a concession request under density bonus. Here is a look at the existing site plan on the top and the proposed layout, which is the bottom image. And the vehicle access is provided from the existing drive aisle from Sierra, and a central walkway will connect various parts of the development, providing pedestrian access throughout the site. And on-site amenities will include a private outdoor space that's located towards the rear of the site. Again, I'll go into more detail when we get to the landscaping plan to show that area. There is an existing pool at the rear which will remain, and the proposed building is set back approximately 41 feet, where 15 feet is required along the frontage, and 15 feet is required in the rear. I did want to point out that the development is surrounded by multifamily uses to the north, south, and west, which is across the street. But however, to the east, which is the rear of the site, there are single-family homes. And this, the developer has proposed to build the building 121 feet away from the closest single-family home. And here is the ground floor plan. As you see here, there's a lobby that then takes you to the stairs or the elevator to go to the upper floors, as well as the ground floor units. The amenities are highlighted in the blue area. There's a bike room, as well as the mail drop or mail room area, as well as a community space that does open up to the patio or the pool area in the back with all the amenities. And the orange, everything highlighted orange is basically the waste collection or maintenance or utility areas. And so the material palette consists of horizontal and vertical fiber cement panels, and as well as fiber cement board and batten panels and perforated metal screens, as well as window glazing. And the architectural vision for the project does use natural inspiration, such as tower elements at key corners to feel like clusters of trees. And there is the material board with the actual material samples. And the next few slides, I'll probably quickly run through them because the applicant, the design architect is here and they could go into more detail. So here is the south elevation, which is the primary entrance for the building. And these renderings, thank you. So these renderings here really just show where the front entrance is and also the visibility from the street. I have identified with a star just to show that it's still partially visible from Sierra Drive. And there's a mix of material and colors that are carried along all elevations. Per DRC comment, the fiber cement siding initially was all white. So to break up a lot of that white facade, they've incorporated a darker color. I'll let the applicant confirm which color that they've decided on. As you know, we just received the material board tonight that's presented before you. And here's the north elevation, which is essentially access the rear of this building. And again, fiber cement siding was changed to be a darker color based on DRC's suggestion. The west elevation, this is the street-facing elevation, which features that rounded corner element. Here you can also see that landscape setback, which really provides that area or transition between the sidewalk and the new building. And this is the east elevation. This is the back of the site, again, which opens up to the community room, which opens up to the outdoor space. It connects to the garden and the pool and other amenities. As mentioned earlier, as part of this project, there are also trees that are being removed. There are 17 on-site trees. Of these, the city's consulting arborist was able to support the removal of most of those trees due to the health and species. However, there were 4 trees which are identified with the red circle, which are in fair to good health, so they would require Planning Commission consideration to remove. And the trees that are identified with the green star are all of the off-site or neighboring trees, which the project will preserve as part, have protective fencing during construction to preserve these trees. And I also wanted to point out tree number 393, I believe, is also on the neighboring property. And that tree is also being preserved, but it wasn't really clear in the arborist report, so I wanted to highlight that. And moving on to the landscape plan, there will be a mix of 5-gallon shrub, grasses, and vines, as well as 47 new trees that will be planted. And per DRC suggestion, the applicant has incorporated, I believe, 4 or 5 additional trees from when DRC last saw this project to provide further screening in the back, as well as a larger tree in the front to really, because there'll be the bench and the larger tree, which is just to activate that frontage. And the design does retain and enhance the existing pool. The key improvements include the permeable paving, the garden planters, the play areas, as well as the benches. And the landscape does, the open spaces, it connects to the garden and is also, that entire area or the entire development will be enclosed by a wood fence along the property lines. So as part of the city's review, this project was subject to the city's design review standards and guidelines. What you see to the left is a checklist, again, included as part of your agenda packet. That's just a snippet, but there's a entire a list of standards that needs to be complied to, and this project does comply with all standards, design standards. So this project is also subject to review under CEQA and pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act. It does qualify as an infill development project and meets the requirements for the categorical exemption, as the project is consistent with the multi-family general plan land use as well as the planned development zoning. The project site is less than 5 acres, so it meets that criteria. And the project site has no value as habitat, and it's been a site that's been developed for years. The project does not generate any significant effects related to traffic, noise, or air quality. And this project has been reviewed by the city's traffic engineer, and the engineer has confirmed that the VMT screens out as it's an affordable housing project that's located in an infill location and consistent with the general plan and housing element, which does encourage higher or more density near transit. And the noise levels will be within the city's acceptable noise range for residential uses. And the construction emissions are anticipated to be minor and will comply with the Bay Area Air Quality Management District screening thresholds, as well as it will go through the building permit phase where there will be inspections and careful review of construction hours and construction process. The project site is also currently served by existing utilities and infrastructure, and for these reasons, it does qualify for that exemption. So tonight, staff does recommend that the Planning Commission adopt the draft resolution to approve the design review, the density bonus, as well as the tree removal and drip line encroachment permits. And for the record, I wanted to mention that there was a minor typo or error on page 1 of attachment 1, which is the draft resolution. So it's in the background section, so it's not a condition. So there was a typo, which we will have corrected prior to the adoption of the decision you make tonight. And I believe I should also mention that we received 18 public comments, of which 17 were in support, and the one written comment we received was in opposition. Okay, thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Commissioner Strongman.
I'll take on first. Could you give me the square footage of each of the floor plans? 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and the like?
It's in the plans, but I didn't have it in my presentation, but it's detailed, and I believe the applicant's presentation is going to touch on
Okay.
that.
And what is the income range for being a resident here?
Great question. Again, applicant
pass
will
on.
cover this, yeah.
And third question is, how long will this remain in the affordable housing stock? Is it going to be 20 years, 40 years, or
Oh, it's the 55-year.
55
and
years?
that's a condition of approval as well.
Okay. And since we're reducing the number of parking spaces, how are they going to be divvied up between the units?
I'll let the applicant
Okay.
cover that as well.
I'll pass then. Thank you very much.
Other questions? Vice Chair, Eating.
I see in the Sierra Garden relocation FAQs, and it's interesting because it says, will it provide relocation assistance? Who wrote this?
So that is provided by the applicant, but the city also has a relocation assistant. It's in our municipal code, so it's a requirement that the applicant will have to abide to.
Okay, and this meets the criteria because the Housing Crisis Act, which modified the Housing Accountability Act pursuant to SB 330, states what's required for relocation. And so I just think it's interesting that they automatically state between $1,000 to $2,000, because it's really depending on income for the past 5 years. That's the way the law is written. I can ask the applicant when they come up also, which I'm sure they already know because they filed under the HCA.
I read it that way at first too, but then when I reread it,
That's for
I
moving
read that as that's the moving assistance.
Moving assistance, correct.
And
That's
then
what
the
I thought.
financial assistance
That's separate,
is a
yeah.
different number. That's the difference between the current rent and a
Yeah, and our
market rate
municipal
rent.
code does state, I think I have it right here. I'll just read it straight out of there. Do you want to pass this as well? This is from our-
Does the municipal it matches what the HCA requires?
Yeah, it does because it talks about
Okay.
the
It's just,
monthly rent.
it's just interesting because I didn't think that you could qualify the moving assistance to a certain, that's all. I mean, I know that you need to provide the financial, either, I think it's like X amount of months of rent. That's why I'm curious.
It says the sum payable in cash equal to 4 times the current monthly rent of the property being vacated.
Oh, in this.
That's in the municipal
Got
code,
it,
and it will
okay.
need to comply to our
Got it, okay,
requirement.
that, I didn't read that in the relocation, sorry, and maybe
Yeah,
I
it's okay.
misunderstood me, I was like, oh my gosh, just $1,000.
And that's actually just for.
There's actually
yeah.
moving. And
That's
then
for moving.
No, I know there is.
Yeah.
Moving right before it.
Yeah, okay, well, that's great, thank you.
So if anything, what the applicants presented tonight is exceeding what our municipal code requires. Yeah.
Those lines, since we seem to have state law, our municipal code, and what they're offering, which one controls?
I'll let Claire.
The municipal code implements the state statute, so it's in line.
Okay.
A couple of questions. The concessions and the waivers, so those are the ones that they're requesting. Is there any actual discretion in that? I mean, they're requesting them, or are they just telling us the ones that they're going to use?
So, yes, so they list out the ones that they believe they cannot meet, which a waiver basically physically precludes feasibility of the development, so it's waivers to development standards. And city evaluates to make sure none of those standards or even concessions result in any public health or safety impacts. For an example, is vehicle emergency access still being provided? Will egress windows be provided? Other building code and safety requirements, are they still, would this conflict with any of those? And if it doesn't, then the city really cannot deny it without making substantial findings.
Thank you. And the neighbors to the north, those are multifamily housing as well. And how tall are those buildings?
To the north,
Yeah, 2 stories, 3 stories?
they're 2 stories, yeah.
okay.
And that area allows up to 30-foot height limit.
Okay. Okay, yeah, that's all. Any other questions? No. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Appreciate your report.
Thank you.
And then we will have the applicant, if they wish to speak for 10 minutes. Indicated you have a presentation, so I'm guessing you will do that. Could you introduce yourself?
Good evening. My name is Jonathan Astman, Director of Development with Satellite Affordable Housing Associates. I'll take a couple minutes to describe Saha and why this project is needed, and then hand it off to Pedram Farajpandi, Principal at David Baker Architects, to dive into the design. Saha is an established mid-sized affordable housing developer, owner, manager based in Berkeley, and we operate primarily in the East Bay. We have own and manage 5 communities in Walnut Creek. So in addition to Sierra Garden, which is affordable housing currently, Casa Montego and Montego Place are adjacent senior communities near John Muir Medical. Acalanes Court is on Trinity Ave, just east of the freeway, so just west of downtown here. And the newest one completed in 2015 is Arboleda, which you could see here is about a block west of North Main Street on 3rd Avenue. Why is the project needed? 2 reasons. The current design is obsolete and the housing crisis. Sierra Gardens was built in phases beginning in 1948. We acquired the property and performed a moderate rehab in 1995. We take care of it, but it's a relic. The second reason is coastal California in general and desirable areas like Walnut Creek in particular are in the midst of a housing affordability crisis. Crisis. And this is a 1.4 acre underutilized site just east of downtown, already owned by Saha. So we propose to exactly triple the amount of housing on site from 29 homes to 86 net of the manager's unit. These are future residents' incomes profiles. So for example, on the far right, a family of 4 would be earning roughly $50,000 to $100,000 a year. This gives you a sense of rents, which are several $100s, or in some cases over $1,000 below market.
All right, thank you, Jonathan. Hi, my name is Pedram Farashbandi. I'm principal at David Baker Architects. We're based in San Francisco. We've been doing housing for the last 43 years in the Bay Area. This is our first project in Walnut Creek that we're very excited about. We've done over 20,000 homes, but out of those 20,000 homes, we always choose to show this photo, not because we designed San Francisco City Hall, but we designed the 2 buildings framing the photo. But what's powerful about this image is one of them is a high-end condominium building, and the other one is supportive housing. And a lot of people cannot tell which one is what. And that's because we bring the same amount of care and design philosophy to every project, regardless of the affordability level. And that's one, design for human experience, connect to a place that we're designing for, and essentially sustainability is a big part of our practice, and it's by betting on the future and do more with less. The overall design is, we talked about the context, where it is and how close we are to downtown. It's also in the transitioning zone, so we have single family on one side and apartments on the other side. The current buildings are scattered around the site, and what's standing out to us is how permeability is basically non-existent right now on the site. This is the first sketch we did for the project. And we came up with these organic shapes that were informed by the beautiful redwood trees on site. And also the 2 axes of the project is connected with these fine-tuned, custom-made, perforated metal panels. These are the sustainability features we're incorporated into the project, but I also want to highlight a couple things. One is reducing the footprint of the built building and giving back more to the land, and also bringing daylight into our circulation. So this is the current site plan. You can see we're proposing a lot of surface parking, but also all those will have permeable pavers. As Samir mentioned, we're enhancing the pool and adding a lot of greenery as well. This is the project, how you see it from Sierra Gardens. You can see the bookend and the organic shape. And then the rest of the volume is articulated by sunshades facing south. A little bit about the materials. We have this random batten siding, which is essentially hardy panels. You can see some of these, the materials in our current projects. It brings depth also to the facade. You can curve the volume because it's segmented. This is a project we did along Coliseum BART, and a successful use of perforated panels. So as you approach the project, a lot of it is the driveway and the fire access. But on the side, we have this really nicely planned ramps that also provide accessibility to the site. and also the custom perf panels that mark the entry and also filtered air for this open stair that we have at the entry. And as you walk in, the landscape also goes into the lobby, and then there is a courtyard beyond the lobby, and it's open air, so you have through ventilation. And in the back, we have the tot lots and gathering spaces that are connecting to our community space on the ground floor. And a view from the pool, and you can see the bookend element repeating itself in the back as well. And our landscape architect is not here today, but we're using a lot of native planting, opening up the ground and allowing more permeability. These are different features of the site. You can see the residence garden, the existing pool, and the driveway. As Samir mentioned, we're back as much as possible from the back of the property to allow more trees and more parking. This is what the maximum density was. I understand there are state laws to allow that, but I think as designers, it is also our responsibility to propose something appropriate for the site to make sure this laws stays. You already saw this, but then I want to highlight what it would have been if we would have built the maximum density. These are a couple sections. Through the site, this is the existing condition. I want you to pay attention to the red dashed line. This is the current view of the sky. This is the max density, and this is how far we're setting back the building. And then we did have some shadow studies. I believe you guys have this printed also. This is the existing condition. This is in June. And in September, the existing building starts shadowing the neighboring building in the back. And then in December also it does in the afternoon. This is the max density allowed in June. And then you can see how in December it would have been really shading. This is what we're proposing in June. We're not shading that. And then in September also, there's more access to sunlight. It's early or late afternoon in December that we start shadowing the building to northeast. So these are all three compared to each other. And Jonathan will walk us through waivers and concessions.
Thanks, Badram. Well said. So we're entitled to request these waivers and concessions because we're committing to set aside 15% of the homes for very low affordable households, but keep in mind we're restricting the other 85 or 83% of units as affordable as well. So we respectfully request 4 waivers and 2 concessions in accordance with policy H1.5 and the current housing element, which says in part, quote, the city shall advise developers on how to maximize their use of waivers and concessions. First is a waiver of the 30-foot height limit enacted by ballot measure A in 1985. Page 3-26 of the current housing element says, quote, affordable housing developers are taking full advantage of state density bonus law to secure the height concessions needed to optimize the number of units in a project. This strategy is fully supported by the city. We request a waiver also to the 25-foot side setback requirement, which is particularly challenging on a long, narrow site such as this. We request a waiver to the requirement to provide 200 cubic feet of storage per unit. And we request a waiver of the requirement to provide a 20-foot by 20-foot light court in front of the primary living room windows and a 10 by 10 light court at the primary bedroom windows. We request 2 concessions to make the project economically feasible. The first is to provide 58 parking spaces, as Simmer mentioned, instead of 96. Regarding this, consider that 1, more parking leads to more car ownership and therefore more traffic. And 2, that lower income households tend to own fewer cars. And there's a page in your packet that provides citations of recent data and studies in California to demonstrate these 2 points, but they're well supported by numerous other studies over decades in various parts of the world. And the second concession is not to provide a formal passenger loading zone for a couple of reasons, the main one being it would result in a loss of 4 parking spaces.
So we're running out of time, so I'm just going to run quickly. I just want to consider how challenging it is. This is the fire access diagram, and in order to build anything there, it's really hard.
Yeah,
Yep.
through the chair, the applicant was informed that they could have up to 15 minutes.
Okay.
So.
That's fine.
Yeah, and I can talk about the other things in answering questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you both. Questions? Mr. Count.
Thank you so much. First of all, I just want to say this is gorgeous and so well planned out. It's really exciting opportunity. Having walked around the site myself, looks like a huge improvement in terms of walkability, in terms of access. I'm thinking about the residents who live there right now, and since you own the property, I would love to hear more from you about what your process is for when this goes into construction, what happens to those residents, and what, because you own other properties in Walnut Creek, do they have the opportunity to move there? Do they have priority to come back to move here? Just a little bit more about your plans for taking care of those residents.
Great question. Thank you. So any relocation over 12 months is considered permanent relocation. Because this building is currently affordable housing, it's subject to the Uniform Relocation Act, which provides a lot more assistance than what's required by city code. So residents will receive the difference between their current rent and a market rate rent for 3.5 years to 5 years. I can't confirm 5 years yet, depending on individual household eligibility. So that could easily be 6 figures. That's a down payment for a lot of households there. Sorry, what were the other questions? Oh, yes, we've already met with residents. We have a relocation consultant on board. We've met with them. They're aware. We'll keep them posted with our time frame, which right now is uncertain. Like, we don't have a clear construction start date yet. It's at least a couple years off. And yeah, our relocation consultant will work with them to find housing, to help them as much or as little as they want. Residents who meet the income and eligibility underwriting guidelines can get a preference to move back into the new building when it's completed. I think did I miss anything?
And do you typically own and manage your properties once you've built them?
We've done a couple developments where we were a fee developer for a different entity, but in general, we're just an indefinite long-term owner-manager. So try to build high-quality, durable materials, buildings built to last.
And given that you have substantially fewer parking spaces than units planned, what is the transportation situation in that particular spot? Are there buses that go by, or do they have to get to a different spot to get transportation?
Yeah, there's public transportation relatively close. I think it's within a third of a mile. Well, depending on resident interest, we can definitely look into setting aside 1 or 2 parking spaces for car share.
So you got a bike room, that's handy.
Yeah, and the bike room is larger than required by code.
Other questions? Commissioner Moran.
I'd like to follow up just with the parking situation, because my math is a little rough, certainly, but if you take the number of on the low end, if say there's one person in the studio and there's one person in the 1 bedroom and there's, I think I did 2 people in a 3 bedroom, that's roughly 85 people, which we're expecting, I would imagine, a lot more. On the high end, if you have 3 people in a 3 bedroom, 2 people in a 2 bedroom and all that, my numbers come out to about 200 people living in the building, which is fine, with 58 parking spots. And I'm just curious, what's interesting to me is it seems like, in the parking information that you guys provided, it says essentially that if you build it, they will come, or rather they will not, meaning like people will live there and forego their cars. Are we sure about that? I mean, because that's in the San Francisco area, because it seems to me if there's 200 people in the building, there's 58 parking spots, that's roughly a quarter, right, of the people that will be able to drive. And I'm sure that they, might say, this is perfect for me because I want to give up my car. I think that I just worry that we're going to be putting a lot more cars on the sidewalk because we're not in San Francisco, we're in the suburbs. Can you just talk about that, other than, the studies that have shown that if people get into this type of housing, they may not own a car, but just if you could elucidate on that, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, well, it's a correlation, right? So if people don't have a convenient place to park their car, they tend in general to have less car ownership.
Is that your experience with the other properties that you own in Walnut Creek?
We did do a parking survey of residents several years ago. I could look back on data. I don't know exactly the data. I'm not even sure we have data on all the cars that residents own in Walnut Creek, but I could look into that.
I guess just as a follow-up, and I'll tip my hand, I support the project, but if the numbers say that 38% of the people that live in low-income housing do not own a car, we're below that right here if we're talking about Sierra Gardens. I don't think there's anything to be done about that, but I would just like to point out that to Commissioner Strongman's point, I would love to know who gets what, right, and how it is divvied up, and the lottery system, and I'll let him ask that question, but I think that's an interesting point to be made.
Yeah, to Councilmember Strongman's question. First, residents can request a reasonable accommodation. So if someone, for instance, has a physical impairment where they need parking close to the entrance, they could tell our property manager. They readily accommodate reasonable accommodation requests. And then for the remaining spaces, there would be a lottery.
I wanted to quickly go through,
Well, may I add something to your question? So usually our experience with other projects in general is a lot of the larger units with 3 and 2 bedrooms, they do get a parking stall usually because they're the people who have kids, and we have less than 58 3s and 2s essentially. So if you have a 3-bedroom and 2-bedroom, you assign them a parking, and usually that's how it works in other properties. I'm not sure how it's going to be.
But just as follow, is it assigned? Meaning,
Yes, every
I have
parking
spot
needs
42, right?
It has to be assigned.
Right.
Yeah.
well, have you there, if you would. I just want to go through quickly the design review comments. You've described the change in the color that's more varied and
Yeah, absolutely. So
darker
maybe I
color.
use this image. We have some projecting bays, both facing south and north. So we change the colors to gray that you can see on the material board. And we also change the orientation of the material. To, instead of being horizontal, they're vertical. So it's both the change in color, but also the orientation of the material.
So some of these are not terribly detailed in the way they
Yeah.
described it. North and south elevations need more work. I think that's what you're just describing here.
Yes.
Changes there.
Yeah, so I can go. Yeah, so you can see it here, the gray bays that you see. You also can see the vertical lines that used to be white, and we changed those 4 bays to gray color.
It also said use fiber cement that looks more like wood.
Yeah.
What was your response to that?
Yeah, so we, I'm going to use the example because it's a material it's hard to render, I guess. So I'm going to use the very beginning example that we had. So this one. So we're using a brown material, and in our interpretation of wood is you either have to use wood or not. And then our experience with affordable housing is you have to maintain wood in order for it to make good. We want to make sure the project looks good day one, but also 5 years from now. So using actual wood is not good. And then if you color it like a wood-like, I think it's cheating.
Okay. And the last one here was incorporate more screening of rear elevations north and east from neighbors. I'm particularly concerned with the north because I think even if you had set back, the required amount, instead of the shorter amount, they're quite low and you're quite tall, and you're on the south side, so they're going to get a lot of those shadows, excuse me, certainly in December and maybe in September as well. So and plus you're closer on that one. So what can you do to help those people
Yeah.
deal with that?
Yeah, well, that comment was also towards the east side, and we increased a lot of larger trees
Right.
there, so that one we could address. Given the site narrowness and the need for a fire lane, it was really no room to incorporate that. What we have is, I'm going to go back to the site plan. Maybe on the upper floors. Is that we also have, we have our regular setback, but we also add a window to the side, so not directly to the north. I don't know if I can point with this. Yeah. So for instance, the bedrooms are further back from the property line, but the living rooms, we added this secondary window. So if they want to block it off, they still have a window and not looking directly at the neighbor. So that was the idea here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good. Any other questions? Commissioner Strong.
Yeah, there was a comment made by the applicant that it would be a couple of years before you actually start construction. And I believe our resolution doesn't last that long. If our secretary could correct that.
I think the resolution suggests 2 years. If it takes longer than that to get a building permit, then they would
Have to come back.
request an extension.
Yeah. Yeah, the way Affordable Housing Fund works, you have to apply for it, and you don't get it, you apply next year. That's why we don't know. Yeah.
Vice Chair Needing.
So if the Planning Commission wishes, you could increase the life of that original resolution. You can consider that in a motion.
I had a question about, I understand that the project's screened from VMT, and there's, a lot of discussion regarding parking, and there's always discussion about traffic. I know that Walnut Creek has a TDM program that they have, and so my question is, I'm taking a look at this memo, and obviously there's no VMT, and LOS is out the door with, that Senate bill a few years ago. It looks like there's some car share program, but considering that, the applicant, and maybe it's a question for the applicant, considering that you all have a practice of providing well-run developments, my question to you is, were there any other TDM measures that are being implemented? Because when I look at the site plan, I don't even see the EV parking spots noted, but it says that there is a car share program. Could you elaborate some of those? Because the city of San Jose, for example, because they're trying to strive for an incredible amount of affordable housing, they have a very robust TDM program that is not tied to CEQA, so it's something that you do separately, but at least they have a lot of good programs, like even education of residents to see what their alternatives are to get out of a car, and you're so darn close to Broadway Plaza, enough where you're not deep down Ignacio. Could you talk about that?
Yeah, so the building will have 6 EV parking spaces, and then I think an additional 17 will be EV ready, where we could easily add chargers to that. To your question, we're providing more indoor secure bike parking than is required. There'll be room for at least 92 bikes and e-bikes. Yeah, like I said, we'll evaluate the car share program. If there's resident interest, we're happy to.
For,
to
for your
that.
other developments, has it ever worked where, I know a TDM measure is almost marketing or the ability to, you can sign residents up for any of the local programs or, bus news or something so that they know, okay, these are my options for transit, or there's options to also coordinate with other friendly neighbors that maybe want to carpool together. I know that, and it's difficult when you're doing for sale, affordable, but since this is for rent and you are going to be a property manager, have you ever done that in any of where you're helping connect residents to carpool and giving them accessibility to all the transit programs that are available?
We have a number of properties where we give residents free transit passes. So happy to look into that, and the carpool idea is a great idea. Happy to look into kind of facilitating people to.
The transit passes cost
matches.
you money, and that's not what I don't want to do that. But it would be interesting to do the things that take minimal effort but provide such a big benefit. And the city engineer could describe, there's a plethora of TDM measures, and the idea is to be able to get residents the knowledge or connected if so-and-so has a car and you're going to the same school, owning a car for folks that can't afford it's expensive. Maintenance, insurance, all. And so it would be, I personally would love to see that in some of your developments, if you're going to continue developing in Walnut Creek, to be able to provide those measures that don't cost you any more money, right? But then help provide this benefit that you would normally look at when you didn't screen out of VMT.
It's a great idea.
Thank you.
And those transit passes, there's a grant program that.
Oh, okay. I was
could
like, I'm
definitely look
not trying to charge you more money.
Writing a grant.
Commissioner Count.
Yeah, so related to a few of the prior comments. So I used to live near this area and walk by quite often. And so I'm thinking about how your current residents, how the kids get to school from here. Are you aware of whether they're driving or walking, biking?
I don't know. I'm happy to check with the property manager.
Okay. I would imagine that at least for elementary and middle, they can walk from there. Yeah, and actually, depending. Right, it depends. If it's Indian Valley Elementary, then you're going up, then you're not walking or biking. But if you're Walnut Heights, I'm not sure.
We should have sidewalks.
Yeah, right. But that would be good information to know in terms of, then they wouldn't necessarily need the car and even the carpool and the, yeah. And then I just wanted to ask about the open air lobby that's described on here. How is it open air if there's floors above it? What does that look like? Can you just
Open
explain
air,
that a
I
little
mean,
more?
on the sides, there's opening, and then even the fence,
Okay.
it's perforated metal. So you have through ventilation, and also on the upper floors, there's also open, as you can see over here where the red arrow is. It's open, it's just guardrail, and then in the back it's also open. It really helps with smell, and then also reduce the HVAC load on
Right.
these circulations.
Nice.
So if you're cooking, for instance, and the next door, the smell doesn't concentrate.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then also the stair is open air. That encourage people to use the stair and feels also safer, especially if you're on the lower floors. That has been our experience, that people use the elevator less when there's a nicer stair in the lobby to use.
Right, nice. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Now I'll open up the public hearing. If you have something to say on this item, you have 2 minutes to do so. If you provide a speaker slip, that would be helpful to us.
Hello, my name's Mike Swan. I live on Edmund Court, which is almost immediately north of the project that's being proposed, maybe half a block. My main concern is the parking situation. I fought tooth and nail about 10 or 15 years ago to get a C permit parking on my block, and they finally granted it to me. It was great for a while, but then I don't think they monitor that much anymore. There's not a real problem now because we're not getting as much traffic as we would be getting if this proposed project gets okayed. And what I guess I'm having a hard time is wrapping my head around the comment that if we build more spaces, that they're going to want, it gives them, what is it? More spaces would lead to more car ownership. I'm understanding that that's a 45, when you guys were saying that 58 spots are what they're asking for. The city was requiring 96, and that's what this concession is going to be. That's a 45% discrepancy. Does that mean that 45% of the people that are going to be moving into this place do not have cars? I know Mr. Moran brought this up earlier. That's my main concern is the traffic and the problem with people parking on my block, because it happens. It's going to happen a lot more if there are no places for people to park within this facility, because there's no street parking. As you drive down there right now, drive down Sierra, and anytime during the middle of the day, there is no places to park. So this overflow that's going to come from these only 58 spots rather than 96 spots, there's no place for these people to go. They're going to start encroaching. I don't know if it's, if I'm going to have to talk to the Walnut Creek Police Department to be more proficient in monitoring the street than they are now. And then the other concern is with a lot more of that congestion, that three-way stop sign on Edmund Court and Sierra, at least 5 times a week, people blow through that, and I almost get T-boned. Again, the police don't monitor that much anymore. Considering the amount of traffic that's going to be coming through there, I'm worried also that there's going to be more problems with that intersection. So thank you for your time.
Can I ask staff, do you know how many parking spaces are there currently for the 29 units?
I don't have the exact number, but
I think there's currently 29 or 30.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Harrison from Edmund Court, right in eye shot to this development. Thanks for taking community input on this project. While we're excited to welcome new neighbors and support affordable housing, I think it is also really important that we work together to minimize the potential challenges in the neighborhood and kind of limit the effect that the expansion will bring. So I want to focus on some things that we can do. We know parking is an issue. It has historically been an issue. Help ensure tenants know that there will almost certainly not be any street parking, and to expect bike or walk, and to expect to bike or walk unless there's some kind of underground or multi-level parking, which I assume was not feasible. While we do walk to town a lot, right, you do still have to do a fair bit of driving. It's not quite as dense as San Francisco, and you will have to drive to Walnut Heights because you have kids, same thing. From a city perspective, as Mike said, strict parking enforcement will be greatly appreciated. It's already impacted. Adding more cars, even if it's a couple more, will impact it quite a bit. And then traffic is quite heavy for an area with so much foot traffic as well. If there's anything we can do to add like bus routes, accessible walking paths, maybe a stricter flow control of people going through, because there's lots of people who kind of skip downtown to kind of go through, that'd be really helpful, because with kids, we're trying to walk, we're trying to encourage more walking, but we're also putting more cars on the road and people in the area. It's kind of we're trying to find a good balance, right? And also, it will be the tallest building in the community, almost kind of double the size of the next largest building in the area. It will stick out unless we kind of pull out all the stops to really try and blend it into nature, blend it in with everything. So it's not just the tallest in the area. Like, I'm down the hill a little bit in Edmond, so it's going to be like a large monolith on top of a hill, which is fine, but anything we can do to help design it, make it a little blending, would be really, really grateful. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Yes. And, welcome back.
Yes, thank you. Jan Warren, it's what I came for. I've been supporting affordable housing for years in this city. This is a beautiful development. Asaha has a wonderful reputation, and they actually do what they say they're going to do. I have a few questions regarding how many units are going to be for people with disabilities in terms of showers or kitchens or whatever like that. Trouble reading my notes. I was happy to see you have elevators. I couldn't find it on the draft. I'm like, oh my gosh, is it just stairs? So hopefully there's 2. I have a comment about wood fences, as all of us out in the hinterland are working on defensible spaces in which wood is not up against our houses. So I assume it's like between the neighbors and it's not attached to the building. The roof appears to be white. I hope it really is and that it's reflecting. All the sustainability features on this are wonderful. I have a redbud tree and it's beautiful, but after it blooms, you get these very brown, crunchy, bean-looking things like mimosas or something, and it is a bit of a mess. So you might want to reconsider that. Let's see here. We are moving to a micro-mobility position in this city. Our city's working very hard to make mobility for everyone. And we're just in the process of this big transition. These folks won't have to sit on Ignacio Valley Road unless they want to go out to the hinterland. But it's a wonderful location. It's close to all the amenities and good schools, and I just can't celebrate it enough. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Rachel Lorenz. I am a resident of Walnut Creek. I'm here to voice my support for the CR Drive project. As most of us in this room know, we need more housing, period. And as a renter, this fact is much more tangible and urgent than I would imagine it is for someone who already owns a home. So I support turning the existing 29 units into 87 units that is proposed. Additionally, as somebody who lives within walking distance of downtown and BART, I cannot overemphasize how nice it is to be able to go shopping, commute to San Francisco, and go out without needing to drive. In addition, being able to live in a walkable neighborhood, especially with kids, is something that should not be out of reach for families. Walkable cities are what builds community interaction and civic engagement. This is the Walnut Creek that I hope for and imagine for the future. If parking is an issue, as we have heard tonight, I would encourage this commission to think of some creative ideas for handling that separately on a broader level in Walnut Creek, as well as do some research to understand how Walnut Creek can accommodate and encourage less car use. Why not do your own surveys on car ownership in Walnut Creek for renters? Why not promote car share or transit information on a city level instead of relying on private developers to do so? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak on this? Perhaps we could have the applicant have 5 minutes to address any of the issues there that have come up. In particular, residents with disabilities, what provisions for that? What is the fencing that you have around the property? And what's on the roof? What color is it?
Yeah, so for mobility units, these are the accessible units. The building code for this type of population requires 15% of the units. However, it has to be equally dispersed among all unit types. So it always ends up being even more to get that. So I imagine it's somewhere in between 15 to 20 of the units will be fully accessible.
And the
I'm just going to ask things. Sure. So public buildings like this building or a library are subject to Section 11B of the building code, but also affordable housing is. So it requires, 15% of the units be like Pajam said, fully mobility accessible, but the remaining units are all easily convertible. So they'll have things like your kitchen sink cabinet, you can easily take out a few screws and pull that out, so it could be like a roll under. There's all these ways you can easily convert the unit to make it accessible. And then Saha Property Management, I mentioned this earlier in regards to parking, but we readily work with residents who submit a reasonable accommodation request. So they might say, I need a door, like where you press a button and my front door automatically opens, or whatever it is, they'll request what they need, and then we work with them to accommodate their needs.
I think I noticed that the roof is primarily covered in solar panels. So it's not reflective, but it converts it into electricity and moves it somewhere else. So that should work as well.
And I think there's a California green building code that requires you to use light surface for your roofing. So it's already embedded in our building code to use a white surface.
And the fencing? What do you anticipate for the fencing around or between that property and others?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's wood fencing, new wood fencing.
Okay, separate from along the property line, or?
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. With that, we can close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission for any discussion. Vice Chair Needing.
I do want to ask, Ryan, was there any other TDM stuff contemplated as part of, or was there no transportation analysis done?
Good evening, Commissioners. Ryan Cook, Senior Civil Engineer with the Public Works Department. I can't speak exactly on behalf of our traffic engineer, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight. They're in another community meeting. However, as is outlined in the memo that is an attachment from our traffic engineering department, there are TDM measures that were taken into place for the additional bike parking, the EV car share, and the accessible nature to transit. Additional measures I can't speak specifically to, but I know that there's no requirement since they are SB 330 in order to require additional measures.
Right, okay, so this is the TDM. It's the EV car share, bike facilities, and then the fact that they're close to transit.
Yes, that's my understanding.
Okay. The one thing that, thank you.
Yeah.
We should, the civil site plan just doesn't even reflect the EV car share program, which I'd like to think that it works. And if it works, and it should be reflected on the plan so that when they process their permits, they're required to be in substantial conformance with the stamped VTM plans. That's just thank you so much, Ryan.
Commissioner Klopp.
I just wanted to make a comment that this is the first time since we approved the city design objective standards that we've seen the checklist used in the presentation about a project. And it was most helpful to see exactly what standards we were applying and not applying. And it was quite a trip down memory lane. So thank you for that. It was very helpful.
I'd just like to comment that there have been, really recently, last few years, more studies looking at not just how many parking spaces we want or we should have, but how many are actually used. And one of the findings that surprised me a bit was that for lower income affordable housing, what they found is that if it has decent transportation nearby, the car ownership is between 0.6 and 0.7 cars per unit. which actually fits pretty well with what is proposed here. You know,
I have intimate knowledge of a project that had big fights over the amount of parking and in reality is not using all the parking that was allocated for the residents, so.
And that was in our city?
On Trinity Avenue.
I would just like to say, I'm really appreciative of this project. I know that Saha has, an excellent reputation for everything that you do, the building and the housing, but also the managing of it. And so it's very exciting to see this improvement of a property that Saha already owns and is thinking about the design and the long-term sustainability of the property as well. I want to appreciate that that a lot of thinking went into the design about how people will use it. So rather than filling out the full density that that you're allowed, really thinking through how are people using it, creating that the tot lot playground like area for kids to play. I know walking around the site right now, there's not that much of an area like that for kids to play, and kind of in that whole block, there's not really a space like that. And so adding amenities like that, as well as being thoughtful about the ways that people will congregate in the building and outside to build community is really important, and I think will really change the dynamic of how people interact with each other in that area. So I'm very excited about this project, and excited to see it move forward.
Commissioner Moran.
I'd like to thank our neighbors that came out to give their thoughts on how this might impact their own neighborhood, especially long-term residents. To a couple of the points made in that we feel that and I also believe this, is that if there is less parking, there will be less cars, but it's going to take some time. And so I would encourage the city to look at ways that we can be smart about how we're going to have roughly 200 some odd people moving in, and with about a quarter of the parking spaces. I think that this is the way that our neighborhoods, especially close to the downtown and public transportation, need to function. However, it's going to take a little bit of work to get to that point. And if we've got a couple years before this is completed, then we should be thoughtful about rideshare, public transportation, and stuff like this. Because to your point, there will be, you drive there now, and there's difficult to find a spot on the street, let alone if we have 150 more people who are going to have cars. Maybe they won't over time, but it's going to take a little bit of a grace period to get to that point. So I appreciate you coming out, and your views and your opinions have been listened to. So thank you.
Someone have a motion to make.
I move to adopt the resolution determining the project to be exempt from CEQA pursuant to a Class 32 infill exemption, and approving the design review and tree removal permits for the proposed 87-unit Sierra Garden project.
Second.
Any discussion of that motion?
Is there a need for any amendment relative to Commissioner Knighting's suggestion about the EV parking designation on the site plan? Right?
It's just it just should be shown on the site plan, that's all.
So no, just
They'll be required to
a note.
do it.
Yeah, okay.
Where?
Sheet A01.
Should be on the civil sheet. Sorry, go ahead.
That was the motion. And I got a second? All right. Any further discussion on the motion? If not, did you call roll?
For the motion as stated? Okay. Commissioner Count?
Yes.
Commissioner Kwok?
Yes.
Commissioner Moran?
Yes.
Commissioner Strongman?
Yes.
Commissioner Klopp?
Yes.
Vice Chair Knighting?
Yes.
And Chair Anderson?
Yes.
That's 7 yeses, motion carries.
Okay, thank you all very much. Appreciate it. All right, we have a few other minor things to finish up. Commission considerations. Anything we have not publicly noticed that we need to consider?
For staff, let's see, I did have one thing to mention. I do believe that Christine sends out the forecasted agendas, correct?
Yeah.
I just want to point out that the planning commission is going to be probably busier at the end of the year than they were at the beginning of the year.
Noticed that.
The November 13th and the December, I'm sorry, that's today, the December 11th and the January, both January meetings already have items and actually into February, so. That said, let me know if in the coming weeks, if anybody cannot make any of those meetings. That's all.
Yes. I think I'll leave right after the December meeting and return right before the January meeting. Not because the planning commission just worked out that way, but I'll take credit for it anyway. Okay, are there any commission member reports or?
Yeah, I'll just quickly report on the TransPAC meeting today. So TransPAC is grappling with a wish to combine a bunch of disparate youth transit programs into one so that there are not like 5 different programs that parents and kids get confused by. So, but it takes heavy lifting from all the different jurisdictions. So at this point, it appears CCTA will step up to manage all those programs and provide standard messaging, information, materials, et cetera, to students from July through November. So that's an improvement. And the second thing is that their CCTA integrated transit plan update is underway, and it does include a priority area as measured by feedback gathered of the Ignacio Valley and Treat Boulevard. It doesn't have specific action plans yet of what will be done there, but those are priority improvement areas. So.
Thank you. Any other announcements, reports? Anybody?
That's great news, and maybe is related to our earlier conversation. If there are free transit passes for youth year-round,
Yep.
that you don't have to
Well, that
apply
was-
for.
That was the question, is like, okay, so now we got it to 5 months, how can we make it all year? What
Yeah.
would it cost?
Just
So-
the youth ride free, and you don't need a pass, all that. Yes, that would be incredible. And I just wanted to say the city did a really great job with, as usual, with their Veterans Day ceremony. Thank you.
All right, if there's nothing further, we are adjourned. We'll see you in a month.